Okay, so next will be the pledge. I think if everybody would just unmute your mics and we can start with the pledge. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the
to
flag
the
United
United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
One
nation,
God,
under
under
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty,
liberty,
and justice for all.
for all. Thank you. All right, next we're going to come to a very upbeat, exciting part of this meeting, which is to recognize candidates for tenure. We speak all the time about the importance of being granted tenure. June is really a month with so many varied celebrations, and there's really nothing that's more important than having the opportunity to have earned tenure. We've had a chance to read your tenure recommendations, and I'm going to call now on Dr. Prendergast, who will call up different people to go ahead and speak about you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Berkowitz, and good evening, everyone. Tonight, we have the opportunity to recognize 3 administrators and 10 teachers who are being recommended to receive tenure in the Great Neck Public Schools. Each of the candidates this evening have been strongly recommended to be awarded tenure. I think it's important to note the hard work and the dedication of these individuals and the work that they do in support of the children of the Great Neck Public Schools. As you know, our goal is to cultivate and nurture an environment of learning in which high quality teaching is expected, and it's recognized as the excellent standard that one would have here in Great Neck. So we're delighted to celebrate these teachers and administrators who will be receiving tenure this evening for the quality of their performance and their work in school, in the classrooms, in the halls, and during extracurricular experiences for our students. And I do want to make note to all of our tenure candidates, for all that you have accomplished this evening, thus far in your career, please realize this is just the beginning. I've had the opportunity to meet with each and every one of you and to have conversations throughout the course of your career. And you realize, from my perspective, continuous improvement throughout your career will be expected, along with future opportunities to be engaged in innovative opportunities and having an ongoing commitment to the students in our district. But by reaching this milestone this evening, you have proven to us that we know you have the capabilities to be the excellent leaders for tomorrow and to be recognizing the fact that you are the legacy of the Great Neck Public Schools. So Mrs. Lengel, if you don't mind, would you be able to set the screens, please? We are going to be recognizing candidates for tenure, first dealing with administrators. And the first candidate, you, Dr. Gitz, and to all of our presenters this evening. Members of the Board of Education, based on what you've heard this evening, it is without reservation that I recommend these wonderful candidates of administrators and teachers to you in receiving of tenure. We're very proud of the work that they have done to date in terms of the expectations that we would have here in the Great Neck Public Schools. And I look forward to seeing continued growth and levels of excellence from our candidates for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. While we've had the opportunity, obviously, to read the tenure recommendations, having them come to life by the people who work with them is quite a different thing. So now, without any further ado, do I have a motion to accept and celebrate these recommendations for tenure?
So moved.
So moved.
I don't even ask if there are any nays. Congratulations to you all. Normally, I give you a moment in case you're going to be leaving the meeting at this point, but we won't know if you're leaving the meeting right this moment. So, next item on the agenda is going to be the approval of minutes. We have the minutes of April 27th, 28th, 29th, May 3rd, 7th, 11th, 12th, 10 a.m. and 11 a.m., and May 18th and 28th. Are there any additions or corrections? There being none, they're accepted as presented. I just want to make note that the meeting of the 12th of May, the 10 a.m., was the swearing in of Mr. Granta. So congratulations now from the board as well. Item 3A, Dr. Prendergast, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Berkowitz, and good evening, everyone. My comments tonight will be very brief. I do want to acknowledge the fact that we had 3 seniors from the Great Neck Public Schools who have been named as National Merit Scholarship winners in the 2021 scholarship program. Each of these 3 students have been awarded a $2,500 scholarship. We had 2 students from North High School and a student from South High School who earned this national recognition, and we're very proud of each of these students, as well as all of our other merit semifinalists. Also, the Rotary Club of Great Neck annually recognizes students from North, Middle, and South Middle schools who demonstrate an exemplary level of community service and a commitment to service of self. Unfortunately, we were not able to meet in person for this annual recognition, but the award did take place via Zoom, and I do wish to offer my congratulations to our students and their parents for the level of community service that they continue to engage in and be a part of in support of our school district. And finally, also on behalf of the cabinet, I also wanted to welcome Mr. Grant Talk as a trustee to our Board of Education. Grant, we look forward to working with you in support of the children of the Great Neck School community. Thank you, Mrs. Berkowitz.
Thank you. Items 3B and C, I will turn over to Mrs. Perez because she is the chairperson of policy.
Good evening, everyone, and congratulations to those of you who received tenure. There are 2 policies tonight for your consideration, both for one reading only. Policy 7130 is about the 5-year capital asset preservation plan. And the reason this has come up is that the revision addresses the section on governing regulations that were included when the policy was adopted in 1989. Since then, the requirement no longer exists, so we are just bringing this policy into line with what exists. In addition, upon a recommendation from New York State School Boards Association, the word shall is being replaced with the word will throughout the policy in order to indicate that a particular action is required, not just possible. And we have been doing that with many of our policies as we go through them. So, are there any questions or concerns about this? In that case, do I hear a motion to accept?
So moved.
All in favor? Okay, thank you very much. The second policy for your consideration tonight is policy 8105. It's identification badges, and now we're talking about middle school. If you recall, 2.5 years ago, I believe, we instituted the policy of students in high school having ID badges to enter in the building and several other things that they could do with them. So now we are going to bring this down to middle school students in the fall. So the policy is a revision saying that middle school students will be included in this. Are there any questions or concerns? Thank you. In that case, may I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you very much. And thank you
Thank
to
you,
the
Ms.
members of the policy committee.
Thank you, Mrs. Perez. Item 3D is the proposed schedule of board meetings for the 21-22 school year. You're going to note that starting on July 1st, meetings will be held back in school again. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Okay, are there any nays? Item 3E is a motion for the former Buildings and Grounds Supervisor Association to now have GNTA and NICET as their bargaining reps and have the name changed then to Buildings and Grounds Supervisor Unit. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Are there any nays? Item 3G, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
You
So
skipped
moved.
F,
And
3F, Barbara. Mrs. Berkowitz, 3F.
Sorry, 3F. I had that deliberately for a reason. Those are the DASSA representatives, which is dignity for all students. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. Any nays? Item 2G, I'll go back to again. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Are there any
So moved.
nays? Item 3H, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Are there any nays? Items 3I, J, and K, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So moved.
So
Are
moved.
there any nays? Item 3L, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Items 3M through Q, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So
Are
moved.
there any nays? Item 3R and 3S, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Are there any nays? Item 3T through Z, I want to thank the PTAs and the donors. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. Item 4A, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Item 5A through F, do I have a motion to accept?
So
So
moved.
moved.
So
Are there
moved.
nays? Item 3G, first, do I have a motion to accept?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Are there any nays? Mr. Powell, would you please explain this one?
Yes, good evening and thank you, Mrs. Berkowitz, and good evening to the other Board of Education members and viewers of tonight's Zoom meeting. This resolution is a recommendation to hire an accounting firm to prepare our financial statements according to generally accepted accounting principles. Every 3 to 5 years, it is recommended that a school district issue a request for proposals or RFP for professional services. The 2019-2020 school year was the 5th year of the relationship we had with the firm who has provided this service to the district. This recommendation is the result of that RFP process. The requirements of the engagement were sent to a number of firms engaged in this profession and also listed in a legal notice in newspapers circulated in this area. The firm that responded is the firm that has been providing this service to the district. The fees they are proposing are reasonable, and the district has been very satisfied with their performance.
Thank you. Item 5H, first, do I have a motion to accept?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Are there any nays? Dr. Lander, would you please explain this about the iPad initiative?
Sure. So this this recommendation is for our yearly iPad purchase that gets new iPads into our district to continue our one-to-one program. There are a couple of things that are different about this year's purchase than previous years. The first is that we have included in this large purchase the cases for the iPads. And it just turned out that since we were buying so many, we actually got them cheaper doing it this way than we would have going out to individual vendors and having the schools buy them themselves or doing it bulk from anyone else. Thank you, Jasper. He approves too.
Right.
And the other thing that was different was just that we are leasing a large amount of them this year, which is larger than we leased last year. And this is sort of for two reasons. The first is that we now are keeping our one-to-one program all the way down to pre-K, where it used to stop at grade 3. And the second is that we are trying to move some iPads around. We're transitioning into a model where students will get new iPads in grades 1, 5, and 9 going forward. And that will enable them to get one iPad, use it for 4 years, which is what we think to be the acceptable life. We stretch them to 5 years in like the lower grades. And it'll just sort of clean up some of the practices we have where students are getting iPads secondhand after someone else has had it. So this is like a transition year where we're leasing more to let us sort of clean up the process to get it streamlined going forward.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Item 5I, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So moved.
So moved.
Are there any nays? Let's just please, everybody, keep your fingers crossed for
Good
good weather, because this time we're going to be at Hofstra University instead of Tillis, and it would be just difficult if it would be raining the way it did this past weekend. Sorry. Item 5J, do I have a motion?
So moved.
So
Are
moved.
there any nays? Once again, Mr. Powell, would you please explain this one?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Berkowitz. A federal single audit is a requirement of non-governmental agencies and not-for-profit organizations that expend more than $750,000 in federal awards or grant money. We spent in the 2019-2020 school year $3,148,903 in federal money. This resolution is to accept the results of that engagement, that audit, which includes suggestions on how to improve or strengthen our internal controls, which are administrative and accounting controls that guide us in adhering to the rules and regulations we are required to adhere to. This resolution, again, is a requirement that has to be accepted by the Board of Education along with the corrective action plan, which we have submitted that will make those improvements that they suggested.
Great, thank you. Items 5K and L, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
So
Are there
moved.
any nays? Item 5M and 5N, 1 through 4 are accepted as presented. Item 6A through D, do I have a motion to accept?
So
So
moved.
moved.
So moved.
Items 7(1)A through G and 7(2)A through G, including the amendment. Do I have a motion to accept?
So
So
moved.
moved.
So moved.
Open time. Ms. Langell, would you please tell us whether or not there are any questions that were received ahead of time?
Yes, Mrs. Berkowitz, there were a few. Okay, the first one was, will elementary and middle school be fully open safely in the fall to accommodate all the children for in-person learning daily?
I would be happy to announce that we
Thank-
look forward to welcoming back all students to in-person instruction in September. We're actually very excited that we will be providing in-person activities through our recreation and our summer enrichment programs. It's beginning in July. And yes, we wholeheartedly look forward to a full return to in-person instruction for all students pre-K through grades 12 in September. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there's another part of that question, I believe.
Yes, 1A, will there be a K-12 curriculum and other resources to bring Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month to Great Neck classrooms?
I'll be glad to take this one, and this is
Thank
something
you.
in which Ms. Newman and I collaborated. Yes, curriculum and resources related to Asian American Pacific Islander heritage and all student backgrounds, such as diverse classroom libraries, access to the New York State Social Studies curriculum, and the Brown University Choices program, among others, are made available to staff. Each school integrates culture into instruction throughout the year, with some elements with specific heritage months occurring at that time, and other aspects at different times, which better corresponds to the required scope and sequence of the instruction that's being given.
Thank you. Ms. Langell, we have the next question.
Yes, next question. What is the district doing about providing additional protection for our buildings and students as we live in a very Jewish area?
Dr. Prendergast?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Berkowitz. I think we all realize that there have been recent news stories about violence and acts of discrimination against many people, and that certainly has heightened concerns within our community. I do want to reassure parents and staff that the district remains unwavering in our commitment to provide a safe and welcoming environment for our students and staff. Clearly, there's no place for any form of hatred or violence within our schools. We do have security guards that are assigned to each of our school buildings. For those who may not realize, our schools remain on a lockout mode, which means that doors are locked from the exterior doors are locked at all times. Currently, we do not permit visitors into our schools. And in addition, the Nassau County Police Department has increased their presence of patrol cars in our community. And the problem-oriented police officers that are assigned to our school district do work closely with our school and district administrators to ensure the safety of everyone involved. I think it's important also for everyone in the community to know that we have a security office that is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that includes weekends and holidays. And our security mobile patrol cars are also providing security not only during the day, but also during non-school hours and non-school days. And I also just wanted to share as well that I remain in close contact with the Nassau County Police Department, the Division of Homeland Security. And I also serve as a member on the Safety Committee for the Nassau County Council of School Superintendents, where liaisons to not only Nassau BOCES, but also the Nassau County Police Department are in attendance as part of those discussions. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe there was a second part to that question as well.
Yes, 2A, what is the district doing to help educate our students in an unbiased manner regarding the sensitive and very complex history of the Mideast conflict? How has it been taught up until now, and how will it be taught going forward?
Dr. Lando, would you take that one, please?
Yes. The New York State Social Studies Framework, which is the basis for our K-12 curriculum, includes the study of specific regions and eras. Content specifically related to the Middle East and the Holocaust is intertwined throughout the framework. The structure of the framework itself and our use of an enduring issues approach and the materials that we provide requires teachers and enables teachers to present, and they do present, to quote the questioner, the sensitive and very complex history of the Middle East conflict in an unbiased manner.
Thank you. Ms. Langell, next question.
Yes, the next question, question number 3. As a member of a Great Neck family, I am concerned what sources are given to the students for their critical reading assignments.
I'm going to ask both Ms. Newman and Dr. Lando to have that because I'm not sure what grade level this is for.
I'd be happy to answer that question, Mrs. Berkowitz. And Ms. Langell, I believe there's a second part, and I collaborated with Dr. Lando to respond to this. So would you mind reading the second part as well?
Of course. 3A is, are you verifying resources used by teachers to make sure there are no bias?
So in response, as a district, we continue to build our classroom libraries to represent the various cultures of our Great Neck students and allow all students to be exposed to characters and stories that open windows into the lives, customs, and beliefs of others, as well as mirrors that allow them to see their own family culture and customs celebrated in the books that they read. As noted earlier by Dr. Lando, our teachers also select from provided materials such as Brown University's Choices program and other available resources as they prepare and deliver instruction. If one has a question related to particular materials used by a teacher, they should contact their child's teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Lando, was there anything you needed to add? No. Okay. Are there any other questions, Ms. Langell?
No, that's the end of the questions submitted in advance. There was one question that just came in through the chat. Where can I get a copy of all the motions put to vote tonight? Those are, the minutes are posted on the board meetings page on our website. And typically they're put up within a week or two of a board meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Langell. And I also want to acknowledge, as you had said, on our Board of Education's webpage, there's a plethora of information, but there is a specific area that speaks and highlights to all of our board meetings. And on that page, you're not only going to find the agendas for each of our meetings, you'll also see copies of minutes that are approved, as well as any presentations that are given to the community and the board, which are also posted for reference for community members. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I do not see any other questions.
Okay. Board discussion? There being none, I just want to remind everybody that next Wednesday, as Matt Jagoda already referred to, it's going to be the shared decision-making committee reports at 7:30, also done via Zoom. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So
Good
moved.
night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.